Some broad goals of usability are the presentation of information and choices in a clear and concise way, a lack of ambiguity, and the placement of important items in appropriate areas. Slide you guys over there. So for a website, are you guys able to see the presentation? Beth, can you give me a thumbs up? Because I can only see your camera. Can you see the presentation on there? Yeah, okay. For a website, usability literally determines if your website will be successful or not. If your site is difficult to use, they bail. If your homepage doesn't tell a user what your company is about or what you can do for them, they're out of there, right? If they get lost on the site, text is hard to read. We've all been there, right? When you go to a site, you're like, I really just needed this, and there's too much to read, and you jump on out of there. So often websites are designed with a focus on fancy features and flashy interfaces. This approach to site design forgets the most important part of the process, which is the user. I think that used to happen quite a few years ago. There would be lots of bells and whistles and things flying in. And right now, really, everything's focused on time and how quick can we get it and how focused can we convey our information. So making sure that something works well, that a person of average or even below average ability and experience can use the thing for its intended purpose without getting hopelessly frustrated. So kind of thinking about the simplest mind. When you go to a website, you try to get into the mindset of like, I've never gone to a website before in my entire life. Usability professional association, approach that incorporates direct user feedback throughout the development cycle in order to reduce costs, create products and tools that meet a user's needs. So when you think about a user's experience, all of these come into play. So you've got your visual design is a big part, not quite where you need to be exactly at that moment. Then you've got your UI design, which overlaps in your visual. So everything technically works together, but the user experience is that very first main step. Don't make me think. Some major components of usability. So learnability, how easy it is for users to accomplish basic tasks the first time they encounter the design. The efficiency, once users have learned the design, how quickly can they perform? Memorability, when they return to the design after a period of using it, how easily can they reestablish it? Errors, how many errors does a user make? How severe are these errors and how easily can they recover from them? Pardon me. How pleasant is it to use the design? Usability obviously is a necessity. It's in pretty much everything we need to do, usability. So just thinking about that on a website as well and how often we are on websites. So we need to avoid frustration. We need to avoid people leaving. They may not want to come back to our site because they're like, oof, I don't want to shop there because, well, it was really frustrating that first time, so I don't want that to happen. Aspects of design to consider for usability. So the navigation, so how easy it is to understand. Sometimes it's really cool to put that navigation somewhere else for some kind of cool, visual, but really in reality, we kind of just need it to be basic and we need people to be able to navigate it well. Multimedia content, is it necessary? So lots of bells and whistles. Is there a point? Maybe not. Textual content, or the font size appropriate? Is it in a written language a user of this site will understand? Too much, too little? So again, thinking about who's looking at this. So with that toast thing, maybe you're directing a child through it, or maybe you're directing an adult through it. So making sure you know all of that ahead of time. Interaction, so interactive elements necessary, easy to use, and accessibility, very, very important nowadays, making sure that you have enough contrast in your text so you don't have 60% gray on black text because no one can read that, or someone that might be, maybe have, poor vision, might not be able to read that. So we need to think about that. Key benefits of usability: increased productivity, decreased training and support costs. Obviously, usually the end goal will be increased sales, maintenance costs, again, et cetera. So you're not going in there and constantly changing things. So making sure you nailed it down the first time around. Take a user-centered approach. So identify who your user could potentially be. What are they trying to do? And then there's those personas, and then your prototypes, and then usability guidelines for a country. Every country has their own. So making sure you go there, that'll take you to a link you guys can click on. And then you're testing. Quality of a user's experience when interacting with a web product, how well users can learn and use a product to achieve their goal, and how satisfied users are with the process. The goals of the testing determine if the product is ready to launch. It identifies problem areas. So before it gets out there and you get maybe a bad name for things not working properly, that's where that testing is super valuable. See if things are getting across better iterations, releases, quarters, etc. Help convince management or others of the need to fix something. And then planning that test. So you have a task, you have participants, you conduct a test, and you analyze results, and then you develop your recommendations. Create a task list. So create a list of tasks or questions that a typical user should be able to, should be able to complete in an hour. They shouldn't be too simple nor too difficult. For example, you're going to tell them to go to this vacation website, or this maybe the airline website, and get them to book a vacation from this date to this date, buy the airfare, and etc. You don't want to stand over their shoulder and tell them where to click. You just want to watch what they're doing. If you watch their facial expressions, if they seem to be getting lost in it. So don't walk them through. Leading a user too much will provide a biased and less useful results. Instead of saying, oh, click here to get there, and you maybe just want to say, add GPS to your rental car, and then see if they can find that. Have a correct solution. If you ask a user to find a rental car location nearest the hotel, there should be a correct choice. This makes the task more straightforward. If the user allows you to be more forward for the user and allows you to more easily know if a task wasn't successfully completed. Make them realistic. So user goal, browse product offerings and purchase an item. So a bad way or a poor way of saying it would be purchase a pair of running shoes. Give them a little more direct results or a little more of a direct task. So this way it's not so open-ended. Buy a pair of orange Nike shoes for this much money and the next day shipping. So really kind of define steps. You want to go see a movie Sunday afternoon, go to here and click this. Obviously, just say you want to go to this website to find a movie you're interested in on Sunday afternoon. So again, avoiding the cues and describing the steps. So you want to see your midterm exams, go to the website, click sign in, tell me where you go to click the grades. Instead, you would just say, look up the results of your midterm exams, see if they know how to sign in, see if they know where to click to get that. And then this is where you, as the designer, records their observations. So again, see if they were able to complete it. Were they confused? Did it take a lot of time? Did you see them like stumbling a lot? Again, their physical language, their body language, their maybe they're squinching up their face. And then you can also have a discussion with them. And then that's where you post your test and your surveys. So post survey questions to ask. So have you visited the site before? What do you think the purpose of the site is? Who do you think the intended audience is? Could you find what you were looking for? Was it easy to get to the homepage from the page you started? So these are just some examples. And was there something missing you weren't expecting to see? Just some more, is there anything obtrusive, anything hidden, etc.? Font size is too large or too small. And then that's where we go and we analyze results. So create and complete a recommendation sheet. This is where you say, okay, well, everyone said the font was too small. So the recommendation would be to enlarge the font all the way through the site. Recommendation should mention the task and the source of the error, severe rating, and the recommendation as to why and the rationale. We always need to rationalize why we need to change things, especially if you're going to go to a company and tell them they need to spend a couple $1,000s to make all of these edits. They're going to want to know why, because you're going to say everybody thought that they couldn't read it, and it was, on a scale of 1 to 10, it was a 10. It was way, way, way too small. So people need to really know. And then we're going to do right now a quick usability test. I'm just going to see if anybody has any questions so far. No.